We're making quick bread country biscuit. I have my scaled out sugar, salt, baking powder, and AP flour in here. Cold butter, because biscuits get cold butter. Put that right in there. First thing we're going to do is coat the butter with some flour. And you guys are going to write this procedure on there. Then once you get the butter coated with flour, now you can squeeze it. Break it apart with your finger. You don't want to break this apart too small. You just want to get cornflake sized butter. Something like this, cornflake sized butter. Okay? Cornflake sized butter. Because this is a biscuit method, you want to trap this butter, this cold butter, in dough so that it starts to steam when you bake it and mix the biscuit in layers. Okay? And once I get this to a good size cornflake, I'm going to add my milk. About 150 grams of milk in here. I use my bowl scraper. Everybody should have a bowl scraper. I like to use this to kind of cut the milk into my flour. So when I fold it and cut it, it's less messier than using your hand. This way you're going to cut your butter even more too, if your butter's not cut small enough. And I add my milk in thirds, just to ensure that it absorbs the milk evenly. And my last bit of milk. This doesn't have to be a complete smooth dough in your bowl yet. You just want to cut until it just kind of absorbs the milk, and then scrape it off with your hand. And then you're going to pour it right onto the table and use your bowl scraper to scrape all the excess flour out. You can have a little bit of flour on the side, because when you roll it out, you might need a little bit of flour just to ensure that it doesn't stick to you. So you see it's a little crumbly, but when you press it together, it'll make one dough. I'm going to get a little bit of excess flour. Working with your bowl scraper, just going to make sure all your flour is incorporated to the dough. Going to fold it a little bit. Take it off the bench, add a little bit of flour, dusting flour onto the bench, and then you're going to square it off, just like this. Take your rolling pin and lightly roll it. Don't put too much pressure on it. You just want to roll it down to maybe about a 1/4 of an inch thick, keeping its shape into a square shape. Just a little lightly flour on top of it so it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. And you can see the butter fats being trapped in that flour. And when going to do is scrape, and then I'm going to fold it in thirds, like so. A little dusting flour, flip it over. This is going to create a little more layer in your biscuit. You can do this about 2 to 3 times before you actually cut the biscuit. So I'm rolling it out again, keeping my shape square or rectangle. And then fold this again. Thing with the quick bread is you don't want to overwork this, otherwise it's going to get a little tough. And this time I'm going to roll it out to about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll cut circles on biscuit cutters. Should get about 6 to 8 depending on the size of the biscuit cutter. If you want to get these really even, you can put boards on the side and roll it on top, and that'll be even. It'll be even plane. All right, so I'm going to start cutting them out. I'm going to use that size cutter right here. A little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. I'm going to cut one side. We're going to use a 1/2 sheet pan and parchment paper to let it sit on. I'm going to refrigerate it for a little bit. Just let it rest before I actually bake it, so I ensure that the dough is nice and rested. It's not too tough. It's going to be nice and fluffy and crispy on the outside. Got 2, 4, 6. I can fold this back, and I can basically do this maybe 1 time so that it doesn't get too tough. And we'll roll this out. I might be able to get 2 more out of this biscuit. So about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. So if you use this size, you may get about 6 a second. All right, so next time when I do a video, it's going to be done.